Hey everybody, it's Adam. I am back from my Sespe wilderness trip, and today I thought I'd make a little gear video for you guys on exactly what I took. In the video, you may have seen me use this pack. This is the ULA Ohm 2.0. This is a pack that I've used in a multitude of trips, and it has served me well in all 4 seasons. So we'll go through this one pocket at a time. I'm just gonna take things out. So we'll start with the outer and work our way in. So first thing in here, I took with me a outdoor research hat. This was super helpful at night when the temperatures were dropping very low. It kept my head warm, and I highly recommend just bringing something to keep your head warm at night. Next, we got gloves. Recommend gloves in cold weather. Use these a couple times, mostly out in the Sespe wilderness. It also helps so you don't burn your fingers when you're picking up hot things, if you're boiling water, or if you're just handling things around the fire. It's good to keep your fingers not burning. And then I also recommend this. This is a little turtle fur or a little neck gaiter. They make off-brand ones too, but this, it just wraps around your head and keeps your neck warm like that. You can pull it up, turn it into a little balaclava. It's really nice. Made all the difference in the world keeping me warm when it dropped in the 30s my last trip up in the Sespe. Alright. I like to keep all of my warm stuff, usually if I'm going up, doing a little traverse up in the mountains, because the weather can change a lot. It's good to have quick access to it, so I typically keep that right up at the top. Let's see, next here, this is my Frogtogs rain jacket. I didn't put this on really because it wasn't raining too hard. It was just a little bit of a drizzle my last trip, but this is another item that I like to keep up at the top to be able to grab, just in case the weather changes really fast. You never know, especially in the mountains. In California, it's less likely, maybe in the summer up in the Sierras, but the weather at the time when I was going up in the Sespe, I'd never seen it that dynamic before, so I wanted to have quick access to it. And I also used this to keep my feet warm. Kept my feet really warm after I put my feet inside my Montbell jacket and then had this surrounding. Oh yes, this is my tarp. It's my Cuban fiber made by Hammock gear, Dyneema Hex Tarp. It has 4 regular tie-out points plus 2 additional ones out to the side. It has the Dutch wasps. If you watched my last video, I demonstrated setting this up. Very useful. I have used this tarp in all 4 seasons with multiple forms of precipitation, including hail, snow, sleet, ice, freezing rain. It's held up. In my experience, I have not had any tears or anything in this material, so it's super durable, and I love it. I will continue to be using that. Let's see, and that finishes up that section. Let's work on the outer pockets. So on my outer pockets here, I typically keep just like a water bottle or 2 for normal trips. So that typically in areas where there's plenty of water, this is all I'll take. We have my Katadyn Filter. It's a 1 liter filter, and it's very useful in areas with flowing water. My last video demonstrated me using this, and I'm very happy with it. I'll continue to be using this. I'm not a huge fan of the tablets, at least for me, because I think I might have a iodine intolerance, because I took the iodine tablets, and even though I waited the correct amount of time, I think it it made me a little sick for a couple days, so it's possible I have an iodine intolerance. That is why I prefer the filters over any tablets. Maybe I have to find a water purifying tablet that works best for me, but I don't think iodine is it for sure. That finishes that compartment. What's on the other side here? Oh yes, I typically take my fuel canister stove or fuel, and I clearly label it. This one got a little crushed, but that's okay. I clearly label it, do not drink. This is not water. This is the alcohol that I use in my alcohol stove. So I'll only carry like maybe 5 ounces or less. It doesn't take that much. It takes about half an ounce to an ounce to boil a cup of water for your stove, so it's not too bad. And that finishes that pocket. Alright, let's look at the hip pockets. This bag on the ULA Ohm 2.0 has excellent hip belt pockets. Very big. You can store a whole bunch of stuff in here. Here I have a modified first aid kit. It has all the essentials. So in there I'll typically carry some medical tape, carry a little gauze roller sponge, and some assorted bandages. Got some band-aids of all sizes. Steri strips are really nice to keep wounds closed. And I keep an assortment of medications. Some of the examples I'll use are, I have acetaminophen, aspirin, there's like some insect bite wipes, alcohol swabs. You never know what you could encounter out there, and especially if you're going out by yourself, you want to have at least the bare minimum of like on the ground level of first aid to at least put something on there. And this is about all I would take. Yeah, maybe one more thing I would recommend if you were really out there would be like a splint or something in case you broke an ankle or leg. But honestly, if it's at that point, you should just call for help. Like, get someone to helicopter you out of there. I didn't take it with me last time, but from now on I'm going to. I take this usually with me to more remote places. It's a Spot Gen 3 that I like to use, and what I really like about it is you have this SOS button that you only press if you're like in a lot of trouble. Say, for example, you broke your femur or your leg or something, and you need to get out of there real quickly, have someone help you. You're like incapacitated, unable to move, or you got bit by a snake, something like that. That's what this button's for. So this one, it works. You don't it has a subscription service, but you pay it and you press that, you have that peace of mind. This button it's like the non-emergent I need help button, so you can set that up online and say, like, you know, my car is broken down and I parked at the trailhead, but I need help. That could be what that button's for. These 3 buttons down here are the ones that I use the most. This one communicates with your loved ones, and I set it up to be like, I'm okay, you know, it's like a check-in button. This is the step tracker, so you can set it up to intervals of, I believe, 1 minute to, I think, up to 15 minutes. And there's like different intervals you can do up there. Really useful if you want to have people monitor you, see how you're doing on the map, pings you every so often. And this final one I use as like, I'm setting up camp here, safe for the night, and I'm just going to sleep. So these are the 3 buttons that I use the most. I have used this system in all weather, all terrain. I've used it in New Hampshire where the mountains can get pretty remote and my loved ones are able to track me, and I have that peace of mind that if something goes wrong, that I do have this just in case. But I still recommend a first aid kit, because if you say you nick your face, you fall down and you just have a big cut, but it's not like trip ending and you still want to continue on, you want to be able to patch up whatever you got and still continue back. It's like that level of care where it's not trip ending, life threatening, but for comfort, you want to be able to power through the rest of your trip and not have to go home early for any reason. This can help with that. So that's why I carry a little bit bigger first aid kit than probably most people would. They do get bigger, but it also depends on your location. How close are you to resources, and how long will it take for you to get help? And in a lot of cases these days, the roads, they seem like they're close to where you're camping, but what a lot of people don't understand is, for emergency wilderness responders, for them to get to you, they won't always have access to a helicopter. I know in New Hampshire especially that their access to helicopters it's not there all the time. So sometimes they have to go in by foot, and they get lucky if they do get access to a helicopter via the Air National Guard. But the situation is always different in each area, so definitely look up before what their emergency response procedures are before they go and get you. Alright, anyways, going back to the hip belt pocket on the other side this is my Dutch Wear Gear rain pack cover. I really like this. I utilize this two ways. I will put my food back, all my food in here, tie it up, and cinch it up. It also keeps my backpack from getting too wet. I used to use the trash bag system where I would put everything in my pack here. But what I found is, unless I'm doing multiple river crossings that are like super deep and there's risk of me falling, like all my stuff just falling in and getting absolutely wet, this is what I usually use. So it's pretty light. I believe it's like 1 or 2 ounces, and it weighs almost nothing. So it's a dual purpose. That's why I like this, and I keep that right in here. So next item, main compartment. So it comes with these little pockets in here, and we'll see what's in this one. Yes, this is my toiletry kit. I keep some hand sanitizer, toothbrush, toilet paper, all that good stuff in there, and some wet wipes. Wet wipes are good for cleaning yourself, wiping your face. I also keep my tent stakes in here. I believe it's only a couple ounce for these shepherd's hook titanium tent spikes. A lot of people say don't bring tent spikes, but I just like showing up at the camp without having to take the time to look for a rock or spikes or sticks. The weight that I carry with these is not a lot, so my theory is I just like to be able to show up to camp and get set up as soon as possible. Alright, moving on. Oh yes, this is my ground cloth that I use. It's a little bit of Tyvek, and the ground cloth is nice because it keeps your stuff from getting wet or damp on the ground, and it gives you a little space to, when you're changing in the morning, you could put your feet on so you don't have to get dirty when you're moving around there at night. Next is my, oh yes, so this is my Dream Hammock Darien hammock. It has a fully enclosed zipped bug net. You can't take the bug net off, but it'll zip up halfway. I used this in my last video, and I have I have my 15-foot tree straps, which are really great. It's not the lightest system that you could use, because you could use like a whoopee sling, or something, you'd save even more weight. But these are the lightest tree straps that I know of that you can get. They're made out of that Dyneema material. It's a little more expensive, but it saves you a couple ounces on your straps. So these Dutch clips clip onto the strap itself, and it secures that way. So I like hammocks. I use hammocks as much as I possibly can, except in instances where I can't, if there's no trees, especially on the West Coast. There's more deserts here, the trees are more sparse. It is possible to find places to hang. You have to plan it better. Whereas in the East Coast, you find trees everywhere. It's great. Sometimes I'll use a tent or a bivy sack, or even just a ground pad if the weather's nice. So yeah, I do like the comfort associated with the hammocks. I've used this hammock in 4 seasons, again, winter, fall, spring, summer, and it's honestly the best quality of sleep, at least for me. I get the best quality of sleep in hammocks. So I'll continue to use these as much as possible, but we'll see what the future holds, depending on where I go. And here is my cook kit. I keep it in a little Dyneema stuff sack just for organization. I got with that I keep a little bit of rope with my cook kit for the bear hang. I didn't use it last time, but out here on the West Coast you're supposed to use the PCT method. I just learned that. I just used the East Coast method. Thankfully I didn't have any bears steal my food, so I will definitely be utilizing that method next time. Let's see. Other things in here, this is my Toaks cook pot. It's a titanium cook pot, 750 milliliters. Comes out like this. This is one of the best cook pots that I've used. As you can see, it's well used. But I keep all my whole stove in here. I have my little windscreen. You could get a better windscreen that's a little heavier, that would block the wind just a little bit better, but this is so light and it does the job. It blocks some of the wind. If it was a little bit windier conditions, I would want something heavier, because this is prone to blow away. It's just a little bit of aluminum foil that I doubled up to give it a little more weight. But so far it's worked. I will continue to use this until it doesn't, or if the conditions call for it. And this is my cat can stove with my lighter and and this is my alcohol measure. I recommend the alcohol measuring cup because when you're first starting to use these stoves, you have to get an idea of how much quantity of fluid will give you the power that you need to boil your water. So definitely take the time to figure that out at home before you go out to the wilderness. This is a little pot cozy that I made with Reflectix and a little bit of duct tape. But this is just nice if you have, say, like some cider or hot cocoa. You could put that right in there, and then you can actually enjoy your hot beverage without burning your hands in the koozie. It keeps everything warm too, and I really like that. Alright. Let's see, at the bottom of this, I have my fire starter. I really like this, especially with my stove. And it gets the spark right in the alcohol, and it all goes ablaze. It's nice. I keep a couple sources of fire with me, just in case that's not enough. I usually carry matches, but I didn't last trip, so I should definitely update my pack. And then I like to carry a little Swiss Army knife. This is just enough for what I need, and sometimes people carry bigger knives, but I just need this. Saves me some weight. And that is everything in there, and not too much left. Let's see, this is my underquilt by Hammock Gear, and usually I'll just stuff these in without the stuff sack, because the stuff sack is literally like a couple of ounces, and it saves you a couple ounces when you pack if you just stuff everything in there. So unless I'm really worried about rain, I mean, I'll have my pack cover on the outside, but if it's a deluge and I'm worried about if I want redundancy and I don't want any of my down getting wet, then I will put a trash compactor bag in here, stuff everything in there, roll up the top, and then maybe even have my rain cover. And then there's like no way unless I jump under a waterfall, there's no way that I'm gonna have any of my stuff get wet. It's supposed to really protect all your stuff. So this 30 degree 3/4 underquilt is really good, I think, for 3 seasons. This is the economy version, so it's a little bit cheaper compared to the top of the line version that they have, but it's done the job. It's made with duck down, I think, instead of goose down. It's 850 duck down, I believe, and it really does keep the chill off of you underneath. The one thing I recommend with this is getting a little foot pad right under your feet, and to prevent your heat loss through conduction of the wind. So I had no problem. I fixed the issue with the rest of my clothes last trip, but if I had to do that trip again, I would take this with combination of a foot pad so that I would maximize my heat efficiency. Alright, next we got, yes, my pillow. This is my Outdoor Vitals pillow. You just blow it up and it gives me a little cushion while I'm in the hammock. You don't absolutely need this in the hammock because it's just comfortable laying in the hammock as is. I would highly recommend this though if you had like a ground system or something. Then I got this is my Montbell down jacket that I used. It's really nice. It is 900 fill power down, and it's super light. When I bought it at the time, it was one of their lightest ones. I don't know what they have now, but I like it because it has a hood, has that nice goose down, good loft, keeps you really warm. I recommend that more on drier trips than wetter trips, because if that gets wet, then it won't keep you warm. I have another one that is similar to that, but it's made by Outdoor Vitals and it's synthetic. I'll have to bring that out and talk about it some other time. And this is my 30 degree top quilt. This is again a hammock gear quilt. It is an economy version and it's made with duck down. So this is the Hammock Gear Burrow 30 degree underquilt. It kept me really warm. It's pretty light, and you can get this in a bunch of variations. This would be an ideal summer setup because there's some ventilation down here, and there is some ventilation in the hole here. You can have these set up to where the whole footbox is sewn in, and it'll really keep your feet toasty. I like having that for the fall or winter, or maybe in like the spring if it's still really cold out and you get those drafts. But this kept me pretty warm. I've used this in cold temperatures. I think the coldest I've used this was like 25 degrees, and the hammock gear is rated so that you can actually push your temperature ranges down a little bit. I found that if I wear just like some additional clothing in these and it goes past the limit, you can push this gear down a little bit more than what it's intended for. So yeah, it's nice. I will vary my temperature. I will vary the quilts that I take depending on the temperature or the weather or what that's going to be like. And that is everything. That's everything in my pack that I brought. Besides the food that I ate that's not featured here. For the food, I'll typically take some backpacking meals. I really like Packet Gourmet. That's usually my go-to. But I'll also go to the local REI and see what they got. I typically will use Packet Gourmet food because it's really delicious, and it's a little expensive, but I think it's worth it if you're going to be out in the wilderness and just enjoy your food. You can also bring food from home. I've brought Pop-Tarts, I've brought ramen, that's another one I'll typically take, mac and cheese. For fun trips, I'll even take like steak, eggs, just have that nice real food out in the wilderness, and it's just a pleasure cooking with that sometimes. You'll definitely have a heavier pack if you do that though. And then lastly, this isn't part of my main pack, but I did carry this. This is my ribs front pack, and this is what I like to carry in front of me with my camera gear, have access to batteries, snacks, maybe some first aid components in here, just stuff that I want to have quick access to in front of me. So first part will go. Oh yes, this is my Oregon 650T Garmin GPS to touchscreen. I've used this in remote areas where there's no service at all, and the satellite, it's been very reliable. It's waterproof, it works in the cold, it works in the heat. I've had this since 2017, so it's been going on for a while here. I haven't had problems. It uses 2 AA batteries, and I recommend the Ultimate Lithium ones. I think it works best with that, otherwise you'll drain your other batteries pretty quick. But it has a little camera that you can geotag places with, and this button here is nice because you can tag whatever you want relatively quickly. It's really fast. I don't know if they make new ones, but this one's held up for quite a while, and I'll continue using it until it's no longer relevant. Alright, that's what I keep in that. Typically, my other outside pouch, I usually don't have anything there right now, but I usually keep some extra batteries for my cameras. And then in here, I got my some lip balm. I like putting that on my lips, keep them from getting chapped. Bring some headphones if I want to listen to an audiobook on the trail. I have some camera gear and like a little cloth to wipe the lenses. This will blow the dust off, and then I wipe so I don't scratch the lenses. And I have my little, this is my Zebra Light headlamp. I really like this one. It gives you a nice light, and the battery lasts a long time. The only thing that I wish that they would change about this is that I wish they would just make it rechargeable, like a rechargeable one, because you do have to get these special small batteries. That's just a AA. You have to get these special small batteries to put in there. They are a little expensive. I may upgrade this light to something a little more efficient that I can just plug in and not have to worry about bringing batteries, because I already bring a lot for my cameras. And next, big pocket in here, I recommend bringing a map. I brought this map with me. Even though you do have your GPS, you also want to bring a map, just in case, and a compass. It's part of the essentials, I believe. Oh, yeah, this is just a small little mirrorless camera that I bring with me. I'll sometimes bring this if I feel like I want to get some more pictures that are a little bit higher quality than my cell phone. I like this because it shoots in RAW. It's just a Fujifilm X100. I think they make them lighter now, but I'm looking to update this pretty soon. We'll see. And in here I got my compass with a whistle. So emergency whistle is important, and along with the compass with the map, this just increases your chance of being able to be rescued or rescuing yourself. And then this is my little pen for the lens pen. You could take this off, clean the lens with it after you've gotten all the dust off, and it just makes being able to keep everything clean out there while you're out there a little bit easier. And that's everything that I took with me on my trip out in the Sespe. I believe all of this together, it weighed under 20 pounds, just under 20 pounds. I'll put the total weight up there for you to see, and I'll also link my Lighterpack description after I've weighed all this stuff out in the link below. And if you haven't watched my video out in the Sespe wilderness, you can go ahead, take a look at that of me using all this gear in action. And please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the trail next time.